What would our world look like if the Earth's average temperature rose by 6 degrees? This is a 2008 documentary. 6 degrees could change the world. It's called a documentary, but it looks like a disaster movie. After watching it, you will realize that 6 degrees doesn't sound like much, but it's actually beyond imagination. If the average temperature of the Earth rises by 1 degree, the Arctic is ice-free for half the year. Tens of thousands of homes along the Bay of Bengal will be flooded. Typhoons will start hitting the South Atlantic. Severe drought will hit the western United States, leading to shortages in the global grain and meat markets. It sounds like it's none of our business, but a little higher up, more and more people are affected. If the Earth's average temperature rises by 2 degrees, such ice sheets could become forests. The Pacific island nation of Tuvalu could sink entirely, and Greenland's dog population could disappear. Because sled dogs were once a necessary means of transportation in Greenland. Many years ago, sled dogs helped humans hunt by pulling them across the ice. Now that the ice is thinner in winter, we take our ships straight out to the sea. Dogs don't come in handy. The dogs were tied up in the snow. Some dogs starved to death. Some were abandoned. One day, many years from now, there will be no more dogs helping people in the snow of Greenland. And this is just a small annoyance in Greenland. Nature's Greenland ice sheet, which took 150,000 years to build, is melting into the sea at an impossible rate. The melting water from these glaciers in 2 days is enough for 1 year usage of a small city. If the Earth's average temperature rises by 2 degrees, the Greenland ice sheet will start to melt completely, also rising global sea levels by 7 meters. If it all melted, many coastal cities around the world would be flooded. If the Earth's average temperature rises by 3 degrees, summers in the Arctic would no longer be cold, and the Amazon rainforest would disappear. El Nino becomes normal, and heat waves will hit human cities. Start with the heat wave. What is a heat wave? In the summer of 2003, Europe suffered a heat wave that killed an estimated 30,000 people. In France, between 2,500 and 3,000 people died on the night of August 10th because the roofs of Paris were made of metal, used to keep out the cold in winter. But that summer, with the combined force of metal and sun, houses became ovens, and Europeans never had air conditioning, and that's what happened. This is news from 2003. If you want to know more about it, you can check it out. And the Amazon rainforest, if you've studied geography, you know how important it is. The lungs of the earth, why did it disappear? Because the Amazon dries up, as it did in 2005. A tributary has dried up completely, without a drop of water. After drought comes to fire. That summer, more than 2,500 square kilometers of rainforest were burned. 50% of the rain in the Amazon rainforest comes from trees, and as the forest recedes, the rain becomes less and less. If the Earth's average temperature rises by 3 degrees, once in a century storm become commonplace. As the ocean gets warmer, the energy to create typhoons increases. Studies have shown that the number of severe storms has doubled in the last 30 years. A Category 6 hurricane, which the Earth has never seen before, could be born in a world 3 degrees warmer. If the average temperature of the Earth were to rise by 4 degrees, it would be a real mess. Many of the world's deltas would flood, leaving 1 billion people homeless. Bangladesh would be washed away. Egypt would become an aquatic nation. Venice, on the other hand, would be completely submerged. With all of Earth's glaciers gone, billions of people would be deprived of fresh water. The melting of the ice sheets began to cause sea levels to continue to rise, and some of the world's greatest rivers could dry up, like the Ganges. the source of fresh water for 1 billion people. It is fed by Himalayan glaciers, but the glaciers have been retreating for years. One old Indian man walked into the glacier in 1965 and took this picture. When he returned 15 years later, the glacier beneath his feet had disappeared. In 1891, someone carved the edge of the glacier into the stone. Now the glacier has retreated to the high mountains. Satellite images have also shown evidence of a serious retreat of Himalayan glaciers. If the Earth's average temperature rises by 4 degrees, sea levels could rise by 1 meter, and coastal cities around the world would look different. The megacity of New York could become a giant swimming pool because much of New York's infrastructure is below sea level. Even in the year 2000, New York's subway system pumps about 37,000 tons of water every day. Imagine if sea levels rose significantly and a super typhoon hit. There would be a disaster in New York, and parts of the area will be flooded with water up to 7 meters high. By then, human civilization was on the verge of leaving Earth. If the Earth's average temperature rises by 5 degrees, the planet's inhospitable zone would slowly extend into the temperate regions of the northern and southern hemispheres. Many big cities will run out of water, and hundreds of millions of people will be displaced. If the Earth's average temperature rises by 6 degrees, seen from a distance, the sea is still blue. But dive deep into the ocean, you will see infinite desolation, and exuberance has become an outdated idiom. Deserts spread across continents, pushing humans to the poles, and natural disasters became commonplace. Some of the world's biggest cities have gone under the water as lost civilizations. If this 6 degree becomes the norm, it's a disaster for the world. It sounds like 6 degrees in a day in a lot of places. So far in 2008, concerns raised by the film have not been addressed. Global average temperatures have risen for more than a decade. How can each of us help solve this problem? The answer is simple: save energy. Turn off standby appliances as much as possible at home. When this little red light goes on, it's on standby, but it still consumes electricity. So switching it off saves energy and electricity. According to the movie, if every home in the United States eliminated standby power consumption, it would eliminate an estimated 18 coal-fired power plants. If everyone helps save a little bit, it adds up to a huge change. The movie also offers several solutions, like solar power, wind power. It also puts forward the difficulties of new energy because they are too dependent on the weather. Once the climate is not suitable, it is difficult to generate electricity. More than 2 million windmills are needed worldwide to replace all coal-fired generators. Another dangerous technology, nuclear fusion, is an energy source that mimics the sun. Theoretically, unlimited power and no greenhouse gases. The reactor core is nearly 10 times hotter than the sun. A strong magnetic field covers the ultra-high temperature plasma, preventing the plasma from melting and the reactor shell from overflowing. Of course, the technology is still experimental and far too old. Earth has long experienced global warming between 144 and 65 million years ago. At a time when dinosaurs were all over the world, violent volcanic activities caused a 6-fold increase in atmospheric carbon dioxide levels, causing the average global temperature to rise dramatically. The Earth spent millions of years pumping out the carbon dioxide and burying it underground. Over millions of years, the billions of tons of carbon that have absorbed the sun's energy fossilized underground, producing vast amounts of coal and crude oil. Do you sense the irony of this story? The Earth spent so many years burying the carbon that destroyed the planet, and now humans are pulling them out and burning them, put it back into the air, and once again cause global warming. The Earth certainly can solve its temperature problem. The only problem is that this million-year shuffling fix may have eliminated humans long ago. Look at the fate of the dinosaurs. That's the fate of our species.